just be paid into circulation, and that would solve our problems, even if she's never proven it to anyone yet, even herself. This is just so much preposterous nonsense. I can't believe I've done this. I'm looking back at a year now and how much time I've spent on this, and I think, I thought, maybe you could reach some people. And yet, what happened last Saturday demonstrated instead that no matter how good the work, I won't even claim it, fine. No matter even a mathematic proof of singular solution, which, excuse me, is an obvious thing in mathematics always. No matter singular solution. Yeah, we can just come up with umpteen jillion variations every further day, and we'll all be okay. A friend sent me a, a text message today to look at a video. The title of it is London Falling, like a man eating his own leg. And this is, mainstream news. Good stuff. Quality stuff. Stuff that we know better than, because thanks to Ellen Hodgson Brown, Steven Zarlinga, Bill Still, who's an Austrian economist, advocating 100% reserves. I have no goddamn idea. Excuse me, why don't you inform me? This should be the other way around. We should have the detractors in the chat room be the broadcasters, except, I wouldn't bother listening. And I shouldn't have bothered listening last week. I know no one cares how much work it is to try and contend with, the iniquities of mankind. Sure, you're all attempting to do that. And I'm not saying everybody's bad. No. I notice some people, defending me in the chat rooms, and I thank you very sincerely and deeply from the bottom of my heart for that. But, I've done this for 43 years, and it isn't like, I'm not tough. I can't stand up to Roger Hayes, and, the detractors saying Rogers has got some pretty broad shoulders. Well, so do I. And what does that have to do with anything? 43 years I've spent so much time in social credit forums at the invite of William B. Ryan, talking mid-1990s. Everyone there practically, except a few people who were so sheepish about it that they wrote me off to the side out of the forum to thank me for my efforts and to confirm that I'd disproven every, argument against me, against mathematically perfected economy, against a singular solution for inflation, deflation, and maladisposition, for systemic manipulation of the cost or value of money or property, and for inherent, irreversible, and therefore terminal multiplication of falsified indebtedness by interest. Some people got it, a few. And today, what's the topic of social credit forums? They dismiss interest as if it's a product of their own work. Never, never, never in history. And these jackasses, these detractors who rise up everywhere, distracting us with their own negativity and egos, accusing others of ego and selfishness. I've not only never made a penny for this, it's cost me, in truth, it's cost me my life. You know, and when somebody accuses me of having an ego, which is something that anyone who knows me knows I divorced myself from way, way back, at a very young age. I just feel like knocking the guy's teeth out the backside of his head. I don't make any apologies for that. Because where are we going with all this? You got people saying, oh, who is this guy? Quoting my work. You saw it last week. Guys claiming to cite Benjamin Franklin against me when the very event that he's referring to originates in my own work. A story which started with a true story. It started with it. Well, I don't mean that it was historically true, but it was it was given in a lecture, and I lost contact with the fellow who gave the lecture, who wasn't even aware that the colonial economy, as he wrongly described it, evidently, was pretty close to a mathematically perfected economy. I did apprise him of that and apprise him of the differences, and he invited me to share the podium with him, and his lecture became, multiplied 2 times further by the, interaction with the audience after that. I was extremely gratified to understand these things back in 1975. And today they don't even matter. Today it's to say the same thing as me as to advocate spending the interest into circulation. And then when I disprove that and inform Ellen Hodgson Brown that her citation of the so-called Pennsylvania currency, she called it, as the most brilliant banking model in history, is all based on a story which isn't even history, but the words of Mike Montagne, issued through the fictional mouth of Benjamin Franklin. And she has such integrity that rather than praise me for the principles, she simply withdraws her praise for the Pennsylvania currency and begins in all this positive information, which is, permeating the world now and serving us so well that in fact we are uniting, not splintering at all. It's so well united us that now she's advocating some Bank of Nebraska, and at the same time in different videos, it's not as if she's all over the map or anything. This is just one cohesive, qualified idea, of course, which we should all unite on. We should spend the money into interest, unite on a proposition of a state bank that supposedly spends its profits for the state, which therefore can't reduce our costs, by the way, And then she advocates spending money into circulation, which is the only thing left for her to claim. Because she knows she's being nailed for plagiarism, because she's not a monetary theorist of any credibility. She's a lawyer. She knows she's in deep water. She's already caught red-handed for plagiarism. So what does she advocate? Spending money into circulation, which was also part of the same parable, which was only part of the same parable, so that I could disprove it at the end of a presentation. I'll stand before an odd audience who is incredulous that Franklin had just explained how to fund government without taxation. Their jaws would be dropped. They'd be in shock when I finished the story. They never imagined such a thing. And after I'd let them ruminate on it a while, I would ask, very modestly, now what is wrong with this story? And everyone would look at each other, not realizing, not having the slightest idea, what you all know without my work. I didn't contribute anything to this. And I hope you never give me any credit for it, to tell you the damn truth. But they'd all look at each other and they'd think, whoa, what could he be saying now? And then I'd explain how spending money into circulation is what, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, you already know. You know, it's no wonder that I've done this for 43 years. And I'm not, don't think I'm crying on your shoulder, Mr. Detractor, because, you wish, But it's no wonder, that anyone could make an effort for 43 years. A kid who can prove the Pythagorean theorem off the top of his head, proves that there's no such thing as circulatory inflation. If debts are merely collateralized, which they ostensibly are, and that interest is not only the cause of what you call inflation, which is price inflation, assumed to be the product of circulatory inflation, which doesn't even exist. Oh my God. This is, I had the hardest time getting ready to do a show today, and you can turn me off because, you're not going to like what I have to say. And I don't really, the only thing I'm thinking about is, could I possibly actually, truthfully denigrate myself by going over, sort of finally, why we have no solution. When the only person who even wants to talk to me about it is trying to tell me that, Roger is saying the same things. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if Roger is saying the same things. Now, I know what you mean. You're going to raise your hand. I know there's people out there who are going to raise your hand. They say, Roger's saying the same thing. Rights of sovereign individuals. Roger's just a plagiarist. He's not ensuring the rights of sovereign individuals by a bank you own, which has profits, which it redistributes to his members. That's the same thing. Holy Christ. I didn't realize I was saying that all this while. Is that what this riddle of the money changers means? Is that why he's claiming to eradicate interest? And yet claiming this bank has a profit somehow? You can put £1 in and get £10 out, and that's solution. And that's that middle road that our friend was arguing with me for an hour plus after the show is what we should shoot for. Go ahead and do it. Sign on to that lawful bank. And while you're doing it, why don't you sign on to this other preposterous plagiarist, real currencies or positive money or UVAMU or IVAMU or technocracy or, join the Bank of Nebraska. Buy some stock in it. care of Ellen Hodgson Brown. Reduce interest rates to 5%, care of Steven Zarlinga. You know? Oh, these ideas are so much more appealing when